And we're live. Welcome. Welcome to Uncoachable, a podcast for parents and coaches by parents and coaches. I'm Coach Patrick. Guy sitting across from me is Coach Lance. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks, Coach. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad.
Good.
It's been a pretty okay week, I think.
Yeah.
Other than getting the S scared out of me the other day.
What happened there?
Catching our pitchers, Jesus.
Oh,
Scared to death.
no lie. Seriously, though. Not even lying.
Scared to death.
They're supposed to be pitching from 50 feet. They're at about 45, 46. Yeah.
Can't do that no more, huh?
Not without a mask on.
Not without a mask
I
on.
was terrified,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
You saw me diving.
Not just stick a batter in there, too, and go back there without a mask on, too.
Oh,
Be
dude.
brave.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you did, right?
Yes.
That's called it's called massive head wound Harry right there. The guy sitting to my right is Coach Logan. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty darn good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Beautiful day out today.
It was a little bit on the chilly side for
Oh,
me.
I loved it.
It was awesome.
It was
It was a little windy.
Yeah, it was,
Love
awesome.
it.
It was
But
a nice change.
favorite
It
weather.
was great. After yesterday being hotter than balls, yeah.
Do you know what I've noticed?
What?
My life has gotten increasingly better and more fortuitous since we put the cigar back in Joe Boo's mouth.
Has it really?
Fortuitous. God. You get in just so everybody
Okay.
knows.
Let's break this down. Joe Boo. Let's not forget him. Thank you, Joe Boo. Break
There's
this
a picture,
down here.
There's a picture of Joe Boo on our Facebook page if anybody wants to go see.
Uncoachablecast.com.
Is this where
I'm sorry. That's our website.
Our website is uncoachablecast.com. You can go to that, and then you can click over and go to the Facebook page, or you can...
Facebook page
Well,
is just at Uncoachable. Same
Yep.
thing with Twitter. Twitter is Uncoachablecast.
We're working on a glossary for all you dummies like me out there that have no idea.
So let's break this down. Let's do a phonetic breakdown here. Fortuitous.
Is that
what
like
is
fortitude?
It's like fortune.
fortune?
What's the root word?
That's the root word. Thank you. That was what I was going to ask you. What's the root word of fortuitous?
It's just like that's like in the movie Ted, where they did the Mike Brugleslowski game, where there's got to be a ski at the end of the root word, or we're just idiots saying nonsense. Okay, there's got to be a ski at the end of the root word, or where's the
You may want to
challenge?
have a dictionary handy when you listen to these podcasts. Just
You don't need one if you're not dumb.
Yeah.
dummy.
Nah.
So
But-
it brought you good fortune. Is that basically?
I mean,
am I deducting that?
I'm not gonna,
Watson.
I'm not gonna say it brought me good fortune, but
Hasn't been bad.
Better fortune.
no, I'm not sitting here going, man, I just need to just end it. Jesus. But
Yeah.
just less stressful, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not
I
at
don't
all.
know. I know that you guys aren't feeling that, but I am.
Well, good for
So,
you.
haha.
Well, you don't have kids. So.
Exactly. You beat me to that one.
Well, I think everybody knew what you were saying. That is what it is, though.
What's that less stressful feel like? What's that? Can you just describe that for me?
Starts with an F, ends in freedom.
Oh,
I was
starts with an N, ends with O kids.
I went to I went to school with a guy named Less Stressful. Anyway, so the
Wah, wah.
it's supposed to be a Danny Mac joke and nobody got it. Hat tip to general knowledge. So today, you're pointing at me. What do you want?
I'm just
you fidgeting.
I'm just fidgeting.
Somebody get him
'Cause
a
you're taking-
fidget spinner.
You're no, never. I can't stand it. No, sorry. You were just taking too long to get to your point.
So today, what we're gonna talk about on
No. Okay, all right. Fine.
we're gonna talk about a topic that we've discussed before that we probably not gonna send out for you guys. It was the first one that we ever recorded, and I think we're just gonna clean it up a little bit this time, and we're gonna talk a little bit about something we call the click factor.
I just got his joke when we were talking doing pre-roll about when he said, "Let's not bring up Addison Russell." I just remembered that was the same one that we.
Okay, but you're not supposed to bring it up.
I did bring it up. That's why I was hesitant to say his name.
So we're gonna move on
Yes,
quickly. Single file.
Throw a shirt on the fire. Throw a shirt on the fire.
Out the dough.
Put it out.
Kids in the hallway, hands over your head. All right. So, and that's one of the reasons we're not going to share that with you guys. So,
Sorry, that's why I started smiling and chuckling to myself. I was like, oh.
I'll just sum it up for everyone. It was funny. It was very funny.
it's nothing that anybody else needs to hear.
Exactly.
Because, like we say, this is just a couple idiots sitting in the basement talking about baseball and talking about stuff that we've come up against. And
Idiot.
Yeah.
so, and again, we have a topic that we have in mind, but it's not been workshopped. This one has. We've talked about this one before, but
It's a constant too. That's a good thing.
a constant. It really is.
So click factor, it's you're. I mean, you see it everywhere, all age groups. You're dealing with 9U right now.
Yeah.
I'm hardly dealing with 12U, if you will, just because my focus has been elsewhere. But still, nonetheless, you still see click factor in 12-year-olds. Whether they've been playing for 12 years or not.
Well, and that's kind of the unique perspective I wanted to talk about this today. Is I've been kind of coaching 9U and 12U at the same time, and seeing it from both ends of the spectrum. Where I like I mentioned Wednesday night, I had a kid that 2 years ago couldn't throw a strike to save his life, and all of a sudden last year, towards the end of the year, after working on it, and then the little bit of the coach, not myself, me blaming myself, not trusting the kid to go out there and give me strikes and give me what I needed, where, probably, I mean, he's our catcher, so I mean, you don't really want to take him out of that spot very often, but just a little bit of the not trusting him at that point, to where then we fully trusted him almost too much, where it's like trying to almost overthrow him because he was throwing so well, and he wanted to go out there every inning that we had. He's like, wanted to pitch that inning. It's
like, no, I'm fine. Like, no,
I can't throw you anymore. Your mom's gonna sue me.
No, she'd kill you. She wouldn't even sue you.
And she could. But we got into the cage, worked on a little bit of pitching for the first time since July, and you just saw everything. I mean, you saw everything click last year, right towards the end of the season, right around, the June, middle
end of the season,
maybe middle of June there, beginning of June, and you just saw everything just start to click, and everything. He finally got it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is what I have to do in order to throw strikes.
I don't mean to sound like this when I say this, but he finally started to listen to what we were teaching him, because he started saying that it was working. And
that's what it takes. I mean, that's just part of the click factor. That's what it takes. Sometimes you can coach until you're blue in the face, but if they're not feeling it, if they're not understanding it, if they're not getting it, if they're not buying in, or if they're not having success like they feel like they should be having with it, it's not going to click for them until they have that success and they see the return on it. That's when then they'll be like, oh, well, I guess I should have listened to coach the first time.
Yep.
Well, and I'm also a believer in, this is a personal belief of mine, that every person, and kids especially, they diagnose information differently. And a lot of kids, for me, there's 3 learners that I can break them down into 3 simple groups. I'm sure you could get more scientific than this, but for me, I noticed that there's some kids that really learn well by listening. And there's kids that learn well by seeing, and there's also kids that learn well by doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him, he might be one of those kids that, you know, he can hear you say it to him all that you want. He can see you show him it all you want, but until he actually does it, it doesn't click for him. Now that's one way to look at click factor on an individual perspective, but of course, you know, you could also expand that to more than just the individual perspective. But I think it's important for coaches to understand that not all kids are the same. They all don't digest the information the same way, and sometimes you're going to have to experiment with showing them the same concept but explaining it to them in different ways, where it's, you know, sometimes maybe you're not explaining it, you're showing it, or maybe you're not showing it, you're letting them do it, or maybe you're not letting them do it, you vice versa. You got to try it different angles for different, you know, different strokes for different folks. But
you know, and that he brings up that point, as a coach, me and you, I haven't been at your practices, so I can't say that for you, for Coach Logan, but me and Coach Patrick, when we're teaching something, we explain it to him and we show it to him. Mm-hmm. That way you get two of those out of the way. Mm-hmm. It's okay, this is what we're doing. Watch how it's done. Now it's your turn to do it. Mm-hmm. And then when they don't do it correctly, you know, those are the ones that are the physical learners, the ones that have to do it the right way in order to pick it up and do it. And then that's when you then specifically work with that kid saying, hey, this is what you need to do. Get this foot forward. Again, when I think about these things, I really truly think about fielding, because that's where I think a lot of the, like, yeah, we can show pitching. That's where the mechanical things really come into play, because everyone's going to have a slightly different swing. Which is okay. Which is actually not more than okay. It's the way it is. Necessary.
Pitching's kind of the same way too. People can have a little bit of a different take on it. You know, you might have
you're gonna have different arm slots.
Yeah, you could have. Some people get, you know, and this is advanced to slide steps, and that, I know that's more advanced, but I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, slide steps. There's not much of a difference in slide steps than there is with your normal leg kick, if you will, but.
A lot of pitching is very similar because of the balk rules.
Yes.
You know, and because of just how you kind of have to do it in order to be successful.
Right.
Or in order to be within the rules of the game. But there are different things, you know, and I don't want to get too lost in the weeds on this, but
oh man, we get down a rabbit hole real fast with pitching, so be careful.
Yeah. We had a kid the other day pitching in the cage, and an elite level talent had a little bit of control issues, and it's like he's not looking at me the whole time. He goes into his windup, and all of a sudden he's looking at third base, and then when he goes to throw it right on his land, then he's trying to find his target again. It's like, you can't do that,
right?
You know, so.
And you know, you see major leaguers do this.
Yes.
Where they will turn their head during their motion. But if you watch them closely enough, before that ball's out of their glove, they're back on their target.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've practiced that a lot.
They've practiced it, they've done it, but
right.
You know, who was I watching Wednesday?
You see it more even with left-handers with a runner at first. You'll see them.
Well, I'm talking about even just it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday. I was watching the Cubs game against the Diamondbacks, and it was I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever. I don't even care. But it was the starter who, when in his motion, on his what do you call that step?
The drop step?
On the drop step, his head would turn when he's turning, which is very natural, actually.
Yeah.
Because your body's turning, so you're helping your body turn. You're finding the rubber again with your other foot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, then I pinpointed when he was looking back at that glove, and it was the second that leg came back up he was on target.
Mm-hmm.
So
you don't have to follow it the whole time, but
that's not how you want to start. You know, when you're first learning, you might not want to pick that trick. That's just frustrating for any professional sport that That's what the kids are watching.
Yeah.
But yet they can pick up so many bad little habits just by it's like it's the best and worst tool that you can give a kid is to have them watch the pros do it. And
Right.
I'm not saying don't watch professional baseball.
No,
Please
you gotta watch it.
plenty of professional, but just
Maybe don't try to mimic them.
Right.
Just understand where the ball needs to go and stuff like that. That's where that's more helpful. Is just understanding the game and
Right.
understanding they didn't throw it to second on a double play ball because the ball wasn't hit sharp enough. Just little things like that you pick up is where you want to.
Yeah.
But
Hey, well done, by the way. You reeled that back into Click Factor quite well.
yes.
Wow. Golf clap.
Well, I was going to mention one more thing, but now that you said that, now you've kind of stifled me, so we have to get back to the original topic.
No. Go ahead. I'm just saying, like, the way that you transitioned that, not on purpose, was well done because that's what it turns into.
Mm-hmm.
If, as a pitcher, and the ball's not hit sharp enough, I can't go to second.
Yeah.
Even as a pitcher, most of the time you don't want to go second because
That's a tough throw.
That's a tough throw.
It
That
is.
throw's
It
gonna
really
go.
is. You're on a mound most of the time, or you're trying to contend with the mound.
Right.
You're seeing two guys cross each other, and you're trying to throw the ball to the right one.
You don't
the
have a
right,
target.
It's so hard.
You have to throw the ball to the base. Yeah, it's a difficult throw.
Go
Go to first.
Go to first and get somebody out.
Get somebody
Get
out.
the next hitter out.
That way you don't have second and third.
Yeah. And I totally derailed what I was going to say.
You're welcome.
I don't even remember it.
My
so let's move on. Let's go. Let's get back on topic. But I remember it.
That boy. Turn that light bulb off.
Just real quick, and then we'll get back on topic. When we talk about the head movement during the motion, and Coach Lance said he's getting back on target soon. You're going to hear us talk a lot about being on schedule when we pitch, and that's what that does. That's what that head movement is. If you're not getting back to your target in time, you're off schedule, and then everything either has to slow down or speed up, or it has to slow down and then speed up. And then we're off schedule, we're off balance, we're off target, we're off stride, and how are you going to throw a strike that way? That's why we talk about making sure we know where the ball's going, making sure we know where that step is. That's the one thing I see a lot right now in youth baseball is the kids that are not being taught when there's a clear problem that they're stepping not towards the target and they're wondering why they can't throw a strike, and the coach is like, wow, this kid's throwing really hard and I don't know what to say to him to get him to throw a strike. Well, then go on the other side of the dugout.
Yeah.
Because you don't belong there. If you can't see that he's not stepping towards his target, and you can't diagnose that remedial of an issue.
Or you're not
Truly.
willing to learn how. If you don't know, you know what? At least you stepped up to the plate but don't step up to the plate if you're not willing to take it serious and try to get better at it and work at your craft. It's a job. Treat it like a job.
If you can't figure it out,
refer to someone who can.
Somebody out there will come and watch.
Mm-hmm.
You should have enough friends.
As a baseball coach, you should know enough people. You should have enough parents, even for that matter, that are
Exactly. Even a parent should be able to see
Mm-hmm.
that. I understand that not all of you guys are professional baseball coaches, and we don't expect
and
that.
we're not either.
Not at all. And again, we're not here trying to tell you this is what you need to do. We're trying to start the conversation and say, you're not alone. You're
Come to
not
us.
alone in this stuff.
Come to us, ask questions. Because guess what? If we had a coach that asked us, hey, I have a kid that's throwing extremely hard, but he's throwing inconsistently. He's not throwing enough strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what's he doing? What's he doing with his bottom half?
What's my first question?
What's he doing with his bottom half?
No.
Is he getting to his balance point?
If a coach came to me with sight unseen and said, he's not throwing enough strikes, I don't know how to diagnose the issue, and he's just asking me, what's my first question?
I would ask him, where's his front foot landing primarily?
No, balance point.
You ask him where he's missing. Is he missing high and low? Is he
Okay.
missing inside outside? It's a different issue, missing high and low and missing inside outside.
Yep.
If you're missing inside outside, there's a mechanical issue. If you're missing high and low, it's a release point issue most likely. Okay, and if you can't tell me that, then you
Yeah, then
You
you,
know.
haven't been paying enough attention. Then.
yeah. So, and it's just it's knowing the questions to ask and knowing the information to ask it with.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Click
That's
factor.
not really where.
That wasn't where
we
we were
want
going,
this
but we
to
got
go,
there.
but-
So
So yeah, we just
hey, but you know what? That could be click factor for coaches.
for coaches, yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking that too.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't really touch on our first time, but I
That's-
mean, there's even a click for coaches where they're
That's
like,
an
"Oh, okay." So
We've all gone through our click factor.
oh,
as
absolutely,
coaches.
absolutely, and still go through it as
Yeah.
coaches
Right.
growing.
So that's a bigger hill to climb than some of the other click factors we've talked about.
Uh-huh.
Actually, is that doesn't ever stop. You keep honing your craft, getting
Yep.
better at it, and working on it. That's what I.
And sometimes it's just talking shop with other coaches.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking out of practice, and for the first time ever, Coach Lance isn't the head coach, and we're both having to defer to somebody else that we've never coached with before. And we were walking out of practice, and I walked up to Chris and I said, "Hey, just a philosophy matter since we're walking outside together. What do you do if you're seeing a kid with a good curveball? How do we go about combating that?" And then we were just talking about it, and he was mentioning different things, and he's depends on the hitter, depends on this. And then it got to moving in the box. Should we be moving in the box? Some people, they used to teach move back in the box for a good curveball and hit it after it breaks. Move up in the box and hit it before it breaks if we're hunting curveballs. And, I mean, my philosophy is hunt fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
Stand in the box where you should be standing in the box.
Mm-hmm. Don't change
Or
your
you
box
should- or
placement. Doesn't matter how fast the pitcher is, how slow the pitcher is, what the pitcher's throwing. You get into your box, into your comfort zone, because that's what your box is. You get in the comfort zone, and you go up there, and you hit.
Right.
I'm not saying react
Yeah.
necessarily, but understand, okay, well, I have a 2-2 count. What should I expect here? Don't say, I'm not saying guess either, but you got to be a thinking hitter as well.
Right. And that is a situation again where we're trying to hit the fastball the other way and pull a breaking pitch. We have to be available to see the ball longer, because chances are you're not getting a 2-2 fastball. Maybe you are, depends on how the count got to 2-2. And that's way down the road. We're not talking about that right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves when we're just thinking stuff out, and that's just what happened there.
Rabbit holes. Sorry. So many of them.
There's so much to talk
So
about.
many
There's
of
so
them.
much to think about in
know.
baseball. I mean, and that's really where the conversation starts. I mean, there's not really one right way and one wrong way when we're talking about baseball philosophy. There's people have different schools of thought, and most of them work. Some of them are stupid. Some of them are just antiquated.
And some of them are to correct issues that
Some of them are Band-Aid issues.
Band-Aid issues. Thank you. Some of them you shouldn't be really doing. I did that one year with Kellen. I noticed that he was hitting the ball off of the end of the bat. So what did I do?
Got a longer bat.
I got a longer bat. Did it work? Yes. Did it fix the issue?
No.
No. Or I should say, was he making better contact? Yes. Did it fix the issue? No. Because then you switch him back to a bat that he should be swinging, and he still has that same issue.
Well, that you end up with a worse swing because you end up swinging bat and you should be swinging in
Right.
the first place, and then you move him
He
back
could
to
swing it, but
you move him back to his regular bat, and then all of a sudden, the issue is even worse now, where he's just not staying on the baseball long enough.
right,
He's
too far on front.
not trying to hit the fastball the other way. He's not staying on the baseball too
Oh
long
man!
enough.
And let me tell you, when I was in the cage, or when I was not throwing BP, but putting the ball into the wheel, if you will, he was pulling, and making decent contact for the most part, But then he missed a couple, and I literally saw him take a second. This is exactly right after Chris told him to do something. He took a second, thought about it, and then hit a ball right at my head.
Mm-hmm.
Best hit I've seen him have in the cage in this offseason. Because it was a fastball, and he put it right in the gap. He stayed on it, which is exactly where his power is the right center gap. He's a right-handed hitter, right center field gap. That's where his power is.
They used
it's not down the line. Right. It's not to left center gap. It's the right center gap is where his power is. It truly is. And that's what I've seen from him. That's where he's been hit, that's where he hits the ball off the fence. If he tries pulling it, he's popping it up too soft or hitting it on the ground. He's rolling over it.
Or hitting soft liners that are base hits, but they're not solid base hits.
Right.
They used to talk about that a lot with Sammy Sosa. Is they go, okay, he's starting to get hot right now because he's hitting a lot of balls in the right center field, and that's that was the first time where I've ever really heard that, where because as a kid you see all these home runs, Dave Kingman's hitting the ball down the street at Wrigley Field, and it's onto Waveland and running down the whatever that cross street is going the other way. It's a pull shot. You're hitting the ball harder when you're pulling it. But when Sammy was staying on the baseball and hitting balls to right center field, that's how you knew he was starting to heat up. Mm-hmm. And dude could carry his team for months when he got hot.
Yeah.
And again, this is not a click factor topic, but it kind of is. Where we're seeing the wheels turn,
right,
and seeing the wheels click into place.
Right.
Just like we talked about, with the kid that was pitching.
Yeah.
I literally was scared. It takes quite a bit for me to be scared by a 12-year-old throwing a baseball. But my goodness, I was, and I mean, I'm in the cage and I'm like, okay, let's start throwing a little bit of change-ups. We need to keep the change-up down. I hope they're not very good with their change-ups right now because I don't want to take a ball off the shins. And luckily, they left their change-ups up, and I would never, ever say that. But holy God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, don't do that. So, and it just, again, it's just it finally clicked for him. Mm-hmm. And I kept trying to tell his mom, you might think his future's behind the plate. I think his future's on the mound. Like, no, I don't believe you.
Oh, she doesn't think his future's in baseball at all.
Well, I strongly disagree.
We haven't seen him wrestle.
He's a wrestler.
I've not seen him box either. But I kept telling her, I said, hey, I cannot teach him how to have long legs. I can't teach him how to throw the ball harder than anybody I've seen throw the ball at this age. I can't teach that. I could teach him anything else, but I can't teach him how to be tall. I can't teach him how to be the tallest kid on the team or throw harder than anybody else on the team. I can't teach that stuff.
Right.
Okay. That's where the click factor has to come in. The stuff that I can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Take your talent, your skills. There's a lot of kids that I can't teach stuff that I'm teaching him.
Let me help mold him.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then, so there's something that I just thought about. So when I say let me help mold him, or mold those skills, mold you to be the player that you can be. When you're coaching a specific kid, whether you're giving private lessons or if you're coaching on a 11, 10, 12-man team, and you've been tasked to coach, say, pitching, and you're working with a specific kid, we're talking about click factor here today. Even during that specific session that you have, how many click factors do you think how many clicks do you, if you will, think go on during that session? During that, say, 15, 20, half an hour session? I would say there has to be at least one per person during that session. So one player and one coach. Because you have to know, so you're teaching him something specific.
That's interesting.
He's struggling. He's not getting what you're telling him to do. and then finally he does it. Does that mean that it clicked for him? Or does that mean that he just did it right, but he doesn't understand how he did it right or why it worked? Now, same thing goes for you then. Are you watching? Do you seeing that, okay, you're telling him to do something. Now, obviously, if you're telling him to do something, you're seeing that he's not doing something right. But are you teaching it correctly is where I'm getting at. Is
Well,
there
just
that click
because-
that
Just
happens?
because this is going to sound incredibly stupid, but just because it didn't click doesn't mean it didn't click. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I knew exactly what you were going to say when you said that, so.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's not going to click the next time, but maybe the seed is planted. Now we have to water that. You know, another kid I was talking, he was...
Thanks for the peanut gallery chuckle.
Right.
I couldn't stop myself. I'm so sorry.
Neutralize the threat. But I kept seeing him. He would switch off between the wind up and the stretch. And
Are you talking about Avon?
no,
Oh, no, okay.
no, the other one.
Oh, okay.
And he would start in the wind up, and then he could go to the stretch. Then you go to the wind up every couple of pitches, just whatever felt comfortable. I wasn't.
Who cares? It's off season. It's not something.
September. I'm not really concerned about it. Get comfortable with both, really.
Yeah, you need it.
And I saw when he was in the windup, he was right dead center in the mound, or when he was in the stretch, he was dead center in the mound. And then when he would get in his windup, his feet would be on either side. He would start with his right foot all the way on the right side of the rubber, and his left foot all the way on the left side of the rubber.
That's pretty wide for him, isn't it?
Yeah, and when
That's wide for me.
And when he'd go through his progression to get to his balance point, he would end up on the far right side of the mound.
Okay.
And,
I mean, that's where his right foot is, so that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And finally I walked up and I said, "Where do you want to pitch from? Where on the mound do you want to pitch from? Want to pitch in the middle? Okay. So why are you pitching from the right side of the mound when you're going from the windup?" So I said, "So let's, instead of here, where our feet are pointed directly at the catcher, on either side of the mound, let's get our feet a little bit closer together. Left foot off of the rubber,
Right foot in the center.
right foot in the center, create your angle.
Yeah.
That way you're not taking a big drop step. It's just a couple little steps. to
It's
get
all it should be.
right in the middle." Nearly fixed all the problems he was having, other than his head coming off his target that we talked about. You know, doesn't mean that next time he gets on the mound on his windup, he's going to go back to the way that was comfortable.
Right.
You know,
Doesn't mean that it clicked.
doesn't mean that
Doesn't-
mean that it doesn't.
Doesn't mean that it didn't either. As you said, though. But
Maybe,
I guess I
maybe
would
once
say...
I remind him a couple of times,
Right.
all of a sudden, then it will click.
And that's what I was going to say, is it doesn't... I mean, just because it... I guess I'm struggling here because
Yeah.
it still clicked. If he's retaining it...
Retention and clicking,
I can't say they're even the same thing.
I can't say
But-
that they're not, though.
Right. And that's the issue.
Did it
But
click
what
if
I
he's
say-
not retaining it?
But what I say though, that you say planting the seed, water it, let it grow. To me, it's not clicked, if you will, not clicked fully. If you have to remind them,
Right.
because to me the click is, oh, right, okay, so I did this. That's your second session. Your
It's
third
when you get to the point where you don't have to think about it.
Your third session then becomes one-time reminder. Your fourth session, I'm just hypothetically saying, obviously, your fourth session, then you see him, you shouldn't have to remind him, he does it himself, kind of thing.
Well, and I'll say things like I was working with another kid that we hadn't talked about yet already, and somewhere he picked up, and it was probably some dumbass coach. One of you out there that's listening, probably. I'm just kidding.
There goes listening, Chip.
Somewhere
Listeners.
he got into his head that his toe needed to be pointing at the pitcher.
Front toe?
Yeah. At the catcher.
Front
So
toe.
Yeah, he'd lift up, he'd get to his balance point, and then he'd point his toe right at the catcher. And that forced him to swing his leg open to point his toe at his catcher, which
You lose
automatically meant his hips open and then his shoulders open. And I was like, I don't know where you learned this, but I want you to try and kick me with the side of your foot. Because what you're doing now, not ever going to work. And he started getting to his balance point, and then he still had a little bit of that hip rotation every now and again. And I would look at him when I'd catch the ball, and he'd look at me and go, yeah, I did it that time. And I go, that's all I'm looking for. I want you to be able to see it. I want you to be able to feel it.
And that's click factor. And to a T. Careful with your mic. That is clicking. It's clicking. When you feel it, you know that you know that you did it wrong. And I can go to Kellen and I can say, what'd you do wrong there? And he'll know it. I can say, and that's where the questions as coaches, what I do is I make sure that what I'm seeing, I ask them if they're feeling it. I had a batter that I was working with, and I looked at him and I said, where are you missing the ball at? Are you above it? Are you below it? Are you in front of it? Are you behind it? What's going on?
He had no idea.
No idea. He guessed that he's below it because he's been told that he's below it, but he has no idea. He's not seeing the ball. That's the biggest issue. The other thing is that he's wrapping because his hands are too far back, but that's a whole other issue, and I'm not the one coaching the hitting, but it's just not, he's not hitting any ball off the I don't want to say tee, but off the machine. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you hitting the ball off the machine? It's not moving that much.
No.
And it was because he was behind it because he wasn't getting his hands in the right spot. But that's a whole other
Not
thing.
staying on schedule.
Right. And it goes that way. That's a whole other thing is again, if you're not doing the right things, and he had a lot of little things that he had to fix, but
right, and you're going to have that, especially when you go to a different coaching staff that's diagnosing issues differently.
Right.
That's going to happen, and you just kind of expect that.
Right. So, but yeah, and all these. So the reason I asked that question about is there a click every time you practice? Is there not every session? Do you have a click? Do you not? What are your thoughts on that? I think that there's always something that does click.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And I just thought of it because I was sitting there catching pitches. And I'm going, man, I wish I had a notebook so I could write down everything that we're working on with this particular kid. I went home, got a notebook, started writing them all down.
Well, you have your phone on you, and you can always just type those in, too.
Every time I get my phone out, somebody yells at me. So,
well, if you weren't on Tinder during a baseball game, we'd be all right.
Well.
You got nothing, do you? You got nothing. I was just trying to check the score. Shut up. You lying piece.
Hey. Big man got to eat. Little man got to eat, too.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. You got nothing, do you? You're looking at me like, gosh, how do you know that?
So.
Ain't my first rodeo.
Anyway.
Don't forget, I have 3 kids.
It's because your couch doesn't even work. Anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, we talk about click factor, and it's such a vast topic.
Oh, yeah.
And
as you guys could tell.
It just opens yourself up to so many rabbit holes.
It really, truly did. Look how many we've gone down already.
Yeah,
and we haven't even gone down them.
It's a minefield. It's a minefield. Mm-hmm. Just trying to navigate all of this. What's clicking? When's it clicking? How do I know it's clicking? Is it clicking for me? Is it clicking for them? There are stuff that, as a coach, just talking about it right now, realize there are things that clicked for me that I didn't even realize it.
Right.
You know, didn't even realize it clicked when it did because I didn't think of it in those terms. But now thinking of it in those terms, that was something that clicked for me.
Yeah.
So,
Give me an example.
I just did with the notebook.
Oh, the Notebook. Okay. Good idea. Good.
So, I didn't get them all down, but
Ah,
I got the ones I wanted to.
you'll get back to it.
I have the notebook with me.
Yeah, I figured as much. Again, I think that's where after each session you have with a kid, even on your phone, if you have a notes or a notepad or something. I have an iPhone. I know you have an Android, but I have probably.
Did you hear the way that he said that? Just with the the phones of poor people.
No. I don't know what notepad system Androids have because
I would prefer to write it down.
Why?
On paper.
It's
a retention tool for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the same deal here.
Okay, fair enough.
And then I have it, a hard copy of it.
Okay.
It's just the personal preference.
Right. It's one of those silly things. It's like you think it'd be so much easier to lose that notebook than it would be to lose your phone. But for me, it's like, well, I don't remember where I saved this in my phone. I don't know how to get to the dang screen that shows me where I saved it.
And I don't know where the music's coming from.
I don't know where those
Why is
moaning.
this video audio playing or auto playing?
Why is there moaning going on? I have no idea. I just started doing
There
that.
we go.
We were so good. We were so,
There we go.
we were so good.
I have no idea where that came from. It just magically appeared on there.
Jeez.
Oh. That's how you said
This-
magically,
Magically,
not maturely.
right? But see, my preference would be to use my phone, and I know how much you have your phone on you. The three of us, they're always on us.
Again.
But-
again. Jesus.
What?
Can't go 5 minutes without chastising me about being on my phone. At least I'm not watching YouTube videos of somebody else playing video games.
I'm surprised.
It's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's a business.
I'm so mad about it still. I mean, I will
Bitter.
never not be
bitter about it.
Well, I remember playing Sonic with this fool, just trying to do everything I could to stay awake or make him die so I could play.
Yeah.
And then when it was my turn, do the same shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to turn the system off, but you were almost dead anyway, so I'll just play.
You remember that?
Yes.
Damn.
Bitter. Anyway.
To the core. God.
Oh my god! I just the most.
No.
annoying
Hold on.
thing-
Let's take a step back here. When we're talking about you trying to stay awake, if it was after 10, you weren't trying to stay awake. You were asleep.
I mean, 10.
Okay, you're right.
Oh my god! If I made it to 8:30, I was like, I need to get to bed.
Not even kidding. I'd come over, sleep over. I'd be like, "What? Everyone's he's sleeping, Aunt Susie. He's sleeping." She'd be like, "I know. Go play with go play with Megan. Go play with your." Okay. He wonders why I hated him.
Go to bed. It was bedtime.
8:30. I just got there.
I was.
No, hold on.
It's
You
not.
don't even
my-
understand.
it's-
You don't understand.
It's not.
This is completely
it is
true.
Not my
This is
fault
completely
that your
true.
mom and sister got into a fight driving to my house.
And then she puts her foot in the.
To pull
Okay.
over 10 times.
Oh, seriously. Oh. I still remember one time we were coming home from me spending the night, and it was middle of the day, noon, right?
I was sleeping.
You were still sleeping, no. And I had a root beer in my hand, and we're in the old Astro van, right? And I'm sitting there, and
one.
the blue one. Which blue one? Good question.
Was it all-wheel drive?
No, it was not.
Oh.
No, front wheel. My dad hated it. But I'm sitting there, and I'm on the right passenger seat, okay, right by the door, because I only had a single slider, and I'm holding a root beer can, and I fall asleep, and I pour it directly onto my lap, but I was dead asleep and I had no idea that I did it.
Woke up thinking I peed.
Right? Exactly. I'm like, sorry, Mom. She goes, what? I go, I don't know what happened. Yeah. It was pretty bad. But that was because,
Well.
that was because me,
Because you never went to bed.
I never went to bed. I wouldn't sleep because I never got to play video games until the wee hours of the morning. So I'd sit there and play Sonic or Spider-Man. I remember playing Spider-Man. We played the snot out of Spider-Man,
I want to play that new Spider-Man.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Toe Jam and Earl. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But at that age, I would sleep propped up in a doorway at 8:30. I mean, I was,
Not even lying.
When it was time to go to bed, I went to bed.
You fell asleep.
There's people that still to this day like, oh, I've had such trouble sleeping. I'm like, good luck with that. I don't need help. I don't need help.
I don't need
When
help.
it's time to go to sleep,
When it's
I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And there's times that I am like that where I'll sit down and I'll just be spent and just, I didn't even realize I fell asleep.
If I'm not
2 hours later, I'm like, what just happened?
If I'm not tired, I'm not going to bed because I will sit there and I will toss and turn and I will
Right.
get less tired and less tired and less tired the more I lay there.
Yep. And then you start
When
thinking about stupid stuff and
4 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
time to go to bed. Let's try and solve the John Benet Ramsey. Or watch stupid baseball videos.
yeah.
Which I do far
Gosh,
too much.
Far too much. Although the ones that you found lately,
Those were really
those are
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't shown Kellen them yet. I need to.
Yeah, Logan's like, which ones? Which would you do?
You didn't share them with him?
No, because he's on Facebook.
You
There are
have
Facebook videos, and I can't send them anyway with Facebook Messenger.
Don't worry. I don't ever I never use Facebook myself. The only time I ever use Facebook, and I changed my notifications now. Now when I'm on my phone, and I get something from you, it tells me.
Oh, really?
Yes, I change it to specifically just that. Only tell me if I am on my phone and I get it.
I used to have to
Send him a message
and then text him.
me.
I just sent you a Facebook message. It was so annoying.
It was annoying. I'm sorry. I got better though.
Well, I
got
couldn't
better.
because if I could have just texted it, I would have just texted it.
Right.
You know. Jesus.
Ooh.
Can you touch your leg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On complete
excited.
accident. And then I
Yeah,
made
right?
it.
Thought it was your leg. You're welcome.
No. Weirdo.
Talk about click factor.
Where's the money Okay.
Oh, was it his click or your click?
Let's
Which one?
get should click. Let's get back to
Let's click off Facebook.
let's
have you
get
seen
back
him
to
wrestle?
the topic at hand. No, I've not seen him box either.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to really get into the differences between or not even the differences, the similarities between the 9U and the 12U.
Are we talking about just clicking or what?
Yeah.
Or just still the same things you're having to teach?
Well, the clicking more so than anything else.
Okay.
Just, and I don't even I want to put it in the category of click factor.
Sorry, pardon me. I'm sorry.
Hit your cough button,
No, I should.
Dr. Radio.
Yep.
Anyway,
Excuse me, Dr. Love.
they call me. Oh, as Coach Lance said, at a baseball game I'm on Tinder, so they don't call me that. Anyway, so anyway,
Again, not wrong.
so
Sorry.
anyway, no, I
Okay.
want to put it in the topic of click factor, but I'm not sure it's clicking or growth or if it's one and the same.
All right, let's talk about it.
You know, you see them just get better.
Yeah.
They're better than they were the day before.
Yeah.
Especially at 9,
Practice.
you see it a lot more.
Practice.
But is that clicking or is that just growth?
Practice. Growth.
Okay.
I would not put it under clicking. Clicking is to me when there is something.
An issue fixed?
Yes, when there is an issue that you have.
I'm not sure that necessarily is the whole thing.
No.
The whole
Agreed.
It's fairly nebulous topic.
It is.
But-
There's so many different. I mean, there's little nuances that you can try to turn it into a click, if you will. But I guess what I'm saying, like, I think the thing that you pointed out with your pitcher that you were working on, where his feet were straddling the rubber, and then you fixed them to where he's in the center of the rubber, right? I think that is a great point as far as click factor. Oh, if I do this, I can stay in the center of the rubber and throw strikes more often. I'm not really struggle that much. Whereas if I don't do it, I'm on the right side of the rubber and I'm struggling getting my ball over the plate. So that's where I think the click factor is boom, right? So that is where...
Folks, I'm having a really hard time holding myself together
I
once
know.
you said my ball. Sorry.
So he smiled at me 3 different times. And I was like, keep going. Then he just had to say something. Notice I looked away the second you smirked at me. No, stop it. But, I think that is a perfect example of a click factor. Now, if you're going through mechanics of fielding, and again, I always go back to it because I think to me, there's one way to field.
Yeah.
And so I always go back to it. One way to field correctly, if you will, the proper way to field. I'm not talking about short hops or anything like that. I'm talking about a routine ground ball. How do you field it? That's not, to me, a click factor. That is the routine mechanics of playing baseball. Now, what you can calculate into click factor with that is, okay, I'm getting my body moving towards my target, but my throw's off. Why is my throw off? Well, you're not getting your feet set in the right spot. Your body's moving there, but your feet are taking you to left field.
I'm also talking crisper throws, not lollipops. Crisper throws right to the target.
Yeah.
Just them starting to get it more.
But that comes with, again,
is that growth, or is it that it kind of clicking a little bit?
I think it has a little bit to do with both. And again, that's what we're talking about. But I think a lot of it is,
I think in order to grow, it has to click.
you have to know
Something has to click.
You have to know that
and
you
once
did
it
something
clicks,
right.
you grow.
Yeah, you have to know that you're doing something right. So if you're saying
Little click, big click.
that's probably a valid thing. Big click would be the pitching instance we talked about. The little click would be, okay, now I can get this ball across the diamond if I throw it on the line. And I know that now because I tried it and I was able to do it.
As a catcher, skipping it on purpose or
Right.
throwing it at the base
Right.
instead of
Lollipop.
at the player.
Right.
Throw it to the base. Don't throw it to the receiver of the throw.
Right.
Just the little things like that.
Right. And then when you see it work. And I think that's the biggest thing here that we're talking about is you have to see it work. As a player, as a coach, if it's clicking, it has to work. And that's when it'll click.
Well, as a coach, I think, and I don't want to say the word validation is not the correct word, but the validation of it working, when you see it, it clicks as reinforcement that this is the proper. If it's not working, why is it not working, or is it wrong? We talk about receiving throws a lot.
Yeah.
And I have a school of thought that differs from a lot of people's school of thought. And I see it, people want you to straddle the back. That's great when the throw's on the money.
Yeah.
When you have a 9-year-old doing everything he can to get you the baseball, it's not going to be on the money a lot. And if it's in the path of the runner, I can't be
In the middle of the
caught.
base. You can't be straddling it.
I can't go through the runner.
But you won't. But again, if you watch, there are two different methodologies of that. But a lot of times, But again, I go to the pros because I feel like they're getting paid to do it. So why wouldn't you watch them to see what they're doing?
Right.
And you don't see most of them anymore straddling the base. You see them receiving the ball in front of it, wherever the throw is coming from.
Catching with their leg. If the throw's on
And
the money,
catch
then
with
you
their
can catch it with your legs.
Yep, absolutely. We had that click for a few kids last year, actually.
Yep. Hey, where's the runner going to be? On the ground. Where's my glove have to be?
On
the ground.
Yeah.
So why would I throw it up here and have to tag him when I can throw it where he needs to be in the first place?
Yep.
Then he doesn't have to tag him.
Yep.
I mean, that's simple stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That maybe is not 101 stuff.
Nah, it's not 101.
You know,
101 is
it's-
the fundamentals of mechanics.
It's not quite something that maybe you think about without having to think about it.
Right. It has to be a lesson. It has to be a lesson plan.
Right.
You have to deliberately. I mean, and that comes with.
Does something clicking have to be taught, or can you?
It can.
I want
it
to say
can be
self-teach yourself.
It can be self-taught. It's still being taught.
Right.
It can be learned. Learned, I think, is a better way to put it. Whether you are doing it yourself, whether you're
Letting the ball be your feedback, Joey Votto.
That's a great thing, absolutely. But if you're watching a ball game, you're playing a ball game, you're practicing. If you're self-teaching, if you're seeing something, or if you feel that you did something wrong and you're going to correct it yourself, that's the best click you can have.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes you can, maybe it has to be taught once or twice, you know, and then all of a sudden you're getting it, you know.
But that's the same thing is when I first started coaching, I didn't realize the fundamentals of fielding.
Right.
Because it was already ingrained in me how to do it. I don't know if I was taught. My dad taught me. I'm not going to say my dad taught me correctly. I went to a couple of baseball camps. I don't know. I don't know where I learned how to field the ball correctly. I couldn't tell you. Other than multiple days of consistent practicing outdoors, playing catch with my mom, playing catch with my dad, playing catch with you, just everything.
Yeah.
Just going out and playing ball. I don't know where I learned how to mechanically field the ball. I know I did it right.
Yeah. I mean, the little nuances that we talk about, left, right, I was never taught that.
Was never taught that
right,
specifically.
Left field, right, left throw. I was never taught field the ball over your left eye. That way, the ball takes a bad hop. You have it on your glove side, not your throwing side.
Right.
You know, just the little tiny stuff that is a big deal, but it's not as important as maybe. I was never taught everything comes to your chest. Everything gets gathered into your chest. I was never taught that specifically.
Right.
It's get in front of the ball, use two hands, and alligator it in. That's how we used to be taught.
Yeah. Alligator it in and then throw it. Now there's 6-7 steps, and it's like what like. So it didn't, like, for me. My biggest click was when I was shown that, and then I turned around and watched a ball game that night, and I watched Addison Russell do it, and I literally paused it, rewound it. Sorry, I'm being honest. I'm being honest.
He did
here.
something right.
Right? I paused it. I think it was whatever. Paused it, rewound
He
it.
does very fundamentally sound.
Rewound it. Kellen was sitting in the room with me, and I played it literally frame by frame. I watched the ball, where it was hit, how he did it, and everything. And I'm like, oh, that was exactly what was just being taught. Like, I didn't teach it because it was the head coach I was teaching it. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the? You walk up, you field the ball. I mean, how hard is that? Right?
We take it
Right? As a coach,
Right.
you're like, I don't get. It was 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. You walk up and you field the ball. What is there so hard to understand about this?
Yeah.
We take it for granted. To that, I mean, the story you're saying is very similar to the same story that I could tell. Is that, like, I taught 2 years of t-ball and then a year of coach pitch, and I didn't know that. I knew it. I could tell you how to field a ground ball.
You could show how to do it,
but
you couldn't teach it.
Explain it, right?
Yep.
I mean, and so, I mean, exactly. So it wasn't until I got to 7U that I actually learned those steps. And then, by then, it's like, you know what? Gosh, really wish I would have known this back in t-ball.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I could be sitting on a gold mine over here if I would have just, But now I know my next kid's going to be in awesome shape. I can't
Yep.
wait for that adventure to start. But, hey, you live and learn. It just goes with, like I said, being open-minded, going in and being willing to learn, willing to accept new information, not pretend that you're Mr. Know-It-All and the baseball guy. Because, good God, if I counted all the wannabe baseball gods in my life, dude, I'd be sitting on
You have a lot of gods.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
So so that's the thing is I watch frame by frame, and I watched right, left, glove down, field it, funnel. And I was like,
Feet, field, funnel, feet, fire, follow through. Wow, that was easy.
yeah. And
That
again,
was easy.
And again, knew how to do it. Didn't know I needed to coach it.
That is perfectly said. And that goes back all the way to the first time you asked me to help you coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I have the patience. That's what I'm talking about. Is what is so hard about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you can break it down and teach it from the ground up,
it's like teaching.
That's what we want, is to be able to teach it from the ground up. I don't want to have to break your habits and then teach you new ones.
Right. So one of the things that I think is really hard for kids to grasp is glove side turn.
Oh.
But how do you explain
Yeah.
glove side turn?
I'm struggling with that as well.
Sorry, like when I say glove side turn, there's nothing else to say.
How hard is it?
You catch the ball and you turn glove side.
You turn what? Well, do we have to teach what glove side is?
Maybe.
How do we turn? Okay. Your glove's on your left hand. Your glove's on your right hand. You turn to that side. You turn to that side.
It's like teaching a little kid the meaning of the word "the." Like, I don't know. It just is what it is. I don't. It's the. And, the. Don't you get it? Good luck. You know what I mean? It's. And then it actually takes a very intelligent person to be able to teach that concept correctly. Just like teaching how to field a ground ball correctly, even though it seems so remedial and simple, it's actually one of the more complex, and it separates the talented coaches or from the just average coaches.
And I think that was perfect. It is remedial. It is baseball 101, fielding 101, and yet it is probably the
least
taught, but most complex.
Yeah.
And one of the most important.
But it was, like, for me, maybe it came with me watching baseball.
But does it? And that's like, I'm trying to think back. The only thing I can think back to where I learned how to do it was one baseball camp that I can ever think of.
I've never even, I don't
But
even
I don't
know
remember
that I was
doing
ever
it.
taught it.
The only thing I remember from that baseball camp was hitting. I remember the A-frame and squishing the bug. Those are the two things I remember from that baseball camp, other than getting the box of cards, which my box of cards is worth more than your hobby baseball. But so yeah, shove that one, okay?
Maybe.
No, it is. But that's the thing is it is fielding the ball is extremely complex because you have to be on schedule, and you have to do it fundamentally correct.
Okay, but if we go back to the glove side turn,
Yeah.
the remedialness of the glove side turn, I don't know that there are things that as coaches we don't teach well enough because you don't think about it needing to be taught like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Go field the baseball.
Go field the baseball.
Walk up to it and pick up the damn ball. It's rolling to you. Put your glove out and it'll roll right into your glove.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching here,
Yep.
the 6 Fs, the glove side turn it seems stupid to turn the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just does not make any sense
Unless
in my brain.
The only time you will ever turn the opposite direction
is on a ball thrown to the wrong side.
Exactly. And even then, at that point, if you are let me hold on. If you are doing the only time you're really going to use glove side turn, in all honesty, is if you're a cutoff.
Right.
Okay? And if you're doing it correctly, you don't let that ball, unless it is that poorly thrown, you don't let that ball get to the wrong side.
No, the glove side turn is also a transfer to the other base.
Yes.
You
Fine,
know?
yes.
I mean, it's a transfer to get the ball in and get the ball out. It's
Right.
designed to get the ball in and get it out of your glove as fast as possible. That's why we turn glove side, because it takes less time. You know? But if you're the cutoff man receiving that throw, you're lined up with the base. The ball is thrown to your throwing side. You're telling me that you don't have enough time to move your feet? I mean, I want to be teaching not glove side turn. I want you to be turning as the ball's coming in. I want you to be catching and turning and crow hopping at the same time.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to get to. I don't like, you don't, do you understand that?
I don't want you to catch and
I don't
glove.
want you to catch and then glove side. I want it to be your feet are always moving. When you're receiving the ball, your body is turning with that ball as it crosses your path.
Right.
To where you receive it and then it's just all one motion and then you're firing. And it's hard to, like, it has to be shown. That's the biggest thing is it has to be shown.
That does have to be shown.
It can be taught.
Yeah.
Like we just talked it out, but it has to be shown. And then at the same time, 9 out of 10 kids aren't going to be able to do it.
No.
Not to say that it's a hard concept to do.
It's
a difficult. It truly is a difficult thing because they're not being taught
when
it.
you're talking about kids, whether you're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12.
I'm talking about 12-year-olds at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about 12-year-olds. What have we seen with at least 3 of the 12-year-olds on our team? They have no freaking idea where their feet are going.
Yeah.
Because they're growing into their body. Their bodies are growing, and now they're trying to grow into their bodies. They have no idea where the hell these flippers came from, and they have no idea how to navigate them.
Yeah.
I was in the same boat.
I know. Big galoof.
Yeah. You know, it's so hard sometimes to figure out how to move your feet when your feet have grown through 4 shoe sizes in one summer.
Yeah. Oh, it is absolutely.
You know,
You look like a
I think that's
baby newborn giraffe.
You know, I think that's part of the problem as well. You know,
Yeah.
where you're trying to figure out
You're
how
changing,
to maneuver your body.
Bodies are growing and all that stuff. Yes, unless you are
Kellen.
truly, unless you are Kellen, where he doesn't grow at all. No, unless you're truly athletic, you know, and your body grows, your muscles grow with your body. But if you have that major growth spurt like you did, if you have that major growth spurt, that doesn't happen.
No.
You know, it doesn't. Your body cannot naturally, muscles cannot naturally grow with that and keep yourself as stable as what you should be.
You look like that the alien guy on MIB where he's walking down the
The cockroach guy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
You know, and it's, I mean, we
have a couple kids like that. Yep.
we're kind of still right on the edge of the topic we wanted to talk about today, but
I was just getting ready to put a bow on that so that we could move on because I know you had kind of a parental guidance thing you wanted to get to. So kind of just one last point I want to bring up on the click factor, and we could obviously dive into this further. But so far we've only talked about the click factor more in an individual perspective, and obviously that's probably the most important in, you know, the perspective that most people are going to focus on. But another way to look at click factor too is you could look at it as in the team perspective as well. You know, as you go through the season, the kids got to learn each other and learn each other's strengths and weaknesses and learn how to play well with each other and learn what each other can and can't do and what you see that throughout the year. I've noticed it, you know, every year that so far, especially in travel ball, you start off at a point and at the end of the year, you almost have a totally different team. And now part of that is each individual has gone through their own click factors, but the team as well is gone through a click factor by the point at the end of the year, they've learned that, hey, you know, Johnny over there at first base, he's pretty solid. If I throw it over there to first base, he's probably going to catch it as long as I give it to him in this certain window, etc. Whatever, you get my point. Or they learn how to rally in the batting order. Like, oh, we you know, whatever. You just see them start to gel a little bit, and you can see that click factor as a team as well.
Absolutely. And let's add to that and say not only do the kids click together, not only do they click individually, they click together. Don't the coaches also click with them?
Yeah. Yep. The coaches learn their little quirks, what to say to them, what not to say to them. You got to coach every kid differently. It's a kid by kid basis.
There's even a situation that we've ran into where a certain coach for a certain kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we've done that.
When there's a certain pitcher pitching and it's mound visit time, who's pitching? Which coach needs to go out there and talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to bring up a story that illustrates your point.
Mm-hmm.
And we played in the state tournament last year, and we were down 3 kids. We ended up with 8, and we ended up taking, I'll call it the consolation bracket, second place with 8 kids
in the state tournament, folks. So that's a bigger deal than what it sounds like.
Yeah. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen a group of 11-year-olds do. But you can see it as the hardest thing that you can teach is how to be a team. How to be a good teammate and how to be a team together and how to rally together. We had one of our pitchers who got to a point in the championship game with 8 kids, and it's the time you go, and he's going to start to self-destruct in T minus 10, 9, 8. You can just see it. I've seen that movie before. What do we need to do? Where do we need to go now? Since we're out of pitchers because we played like 9 games today, and we have innings restrictions, we need to start thinking of our contingency plan right now. And then you saw him go, this is not about me. I can't do this to my teammates right now. We're already down. We're already playing with 8. I got to figure out how to pull my head out of my arse and figure this out. And that was the most impressive thing that I saw, is that showed me how galvanized we were as a team. You know, how much.
Right. He clicked with, he realized that.
And it was something that we had struggled with all year is him getting out of his own way. Because he had the talent to be a top line starter,
head and shoulders,
and he couldn't get out of his own way. He was overthinking everything that he was doing, and it could have been us. And I'm not gonna say that it wasn't us, that we put too much pressure on him. Maybe
right. I think a lot of the pressure came from him, and a lot of times, if a kid goes looking for an excuse, he's gonna find one.
Right. So then there's a cop out, and with having 8 players, there's no room for excuses.
Right.
You either put up or you shut up.
Yeah.
So
championship game.
I'm
giving you the vote of confidence to go and win me this game.
Go do it. And he did it.
Yep.
He pitched his freaking head off.
And well, let's just talk about that too. I mean,
not only that, he closed out the game before that.
And
he did.
That's
You're right.
And
you guys.
And after that game, this is the story that his dad told me. I don't know if I told you this. After that game, he pitched the 5th and the 6th inning, and he had never during the whole season he hadn't been able to close out the game, and that's what we thought he would be really good at, was closing out the game, because he had that bulldog mentality. Yeah. He was never able to get the outs that he needed to in the 6th inning, which I know they are different outs.
Yeah.
Every closer, every relief pitcher will tell you that those last 3 outs are different outs. Mm-hmm. You have your batters that are more focused. You have your pitcher that's trying to do more, whatever. But his dad looked at me after that, or not after that game, but after the season, and his dad said, he came off the field after you guys broke it out, and he came back and he sat back by me, and he just broke down in tears. And his dad looked at him and said, what's wrong, man? And he goes, I finally made it through the 6th inning. Now, if that's not a freaking click, you don't tell me what is. That just catapulted him into that next game. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but it drove home the point that you can do this, and that's what he went out and did.
And what you're talking about, too, is the other little bow I want to put on this is that, a lot of times as coaches, I've been through this myself, and I'm sure you guys have too, where you're halfway through the season, you have expectations, you've been working very hard to achieve those expectations, you haven't achieved those expectations, you expected to achieve those expectations by now, and you're sitting here thinking, what am I doing wrong? What are they doing wrong? You're pointing fingers left and right and wondering what, and sometimes it's just they haven't gelled. They haven't learned each other well enough. And just like what you guys are talking about, the big click for you guys didn't come as a team until the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that happen. That's happened to us. We weren't our best team until the very end of the year. And that sucks to come and not get, but just my point is, coaches, stay patient. If you're dealing with a team and you're just wondering why they're underperforming, give it time. Keep working. Keep at it. You'll get where you want to go. You'll see it. It'll happen.
Yep.
Yep,
it will. So you brought up that our little parental guidance section. I talked about this last week, and it was an email that I thought was really good, and it was about parental pressure and performance anxiety. And it dove in on the point of, are my parents putting too much pressure on me? Am I going to let my parents down? And I think that's the wrong thing that we want to talk about with our kids is that. They talked about wrestlers, and they did a lot of research, and that was the thing, is what will my parents think? And the athletes were worried about what will my parents think and letting my parents down. So the research actually revealed that these wrestlers, their anxiety was significantly related to their perception of their parents, or the perception that their parents put pressure on them. And so what sticks out actually is that's the perception that the athlete has. As a parent, we don't want that perception to be that you're going to let us down. We want you to go out and do it for yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do for them. And yes, we're always going to put pressure on them, but we definitely need to make sure that we're always going to push them. We want to make sure that pushing doesn't drive too much pressure. So parents, keep that in mind. If your expectations are pressuring your children, make sure you have that conversation with them and ask them. And if it is, then try to fix that.
Right. Reinforce to them that, I have expectations or I have goals that I'd like to see you achieve, but at the end of the day, that's my goal. It's not the most important thing in the world. It's a person, it's not like if we don't achieve those goals, I'm going to think any less of you as a person or as a ball player or anything. I still have a ton of confidence and faith in you, whether you succeed or fail. It doesn't matter. The kids need to know that you're in their corner no matter what. I think I could see that definitely when I was a player, that you do have that I don't want to let mom and dad down feeling. Doesn't matter. You as a parent can try all you want and have as many conversations with your kid. They're always going to, no matter what you say or do with them, they're always going to try to not let you down, and they're always going to be playing with a little bit of that pressure on them. But anything you can do as a parent to lighten that load and help them to play freely, because that's the goal. And same with the click factor, to really put a bow on it all. The whole goal is to play baseball without thought.
Yeah,
to where it's just fluid and
that's
natural.
Even possible.
It's and I guess I don't mean that
for a thinking man's game.
Yeah, I don't mean that in as far as a situational thought. I mean you don't want to be out there and thinking about your pitching mechanics when you're in the middle of making a pitch. Right. You want to go out there and make that pitch, and now, situationally, you might have a thought in your head like, oh, I've got runners on first and second, so I have to be cautious of this situation if this were to pop up. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about when a ground ball is coming at you, you don't want to be thinking right, left field, right, left throw, because if you're thinking about that as you're doing it, chances are you're likely going to fail.
Well, you certainly don't want to be thinking about the strikeout you just had.
Exactly.
No,
So
that one doesn't matter anymore.
play freely. That's the goal in baseball, is to be able to play freely.
Easy
There
for
we
you
go.
to say.
Yeah.
And that's what that article was pointing out is, in order for your athlete to be successful, that burden, the pressure can't be on them to be successful.
If your kids are playing with tension, anxiety, and pressure, they're not going to perform.
Right.
They're never going to meet. They're never going to meet their standards or yours.
I try to preach it to my kids as often as possible, and I need to think of a new way to recite it to them and reiterate to them, because I've been preaching it the same way for long enough. And I think for some kids, that's starting to click, but for a lot of them, they don't understand the concept of baseball as a game of failure. You are going to fail in this game more than you're going to succeed. You need to come to terms. The sooner you come to terms with that, the better.
So
We kind of stumbled upon something last year. I think was what you're talking about. Where as coaches, we went out and we said, for the first 2 pitches of this at bat, or not even for this entire game,
Entire game.
I'm going to give you permission to suck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you permission to fail. I'm going to give you permission to go 0 for 4 and try and hit the nuts off the baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to give you permission to walk 7 hitters. I'm going to give you permission to be terrible. I want you to try to go throw the baseball through the catcher's glove.
Yep.
I want you diving for balls. I want you having fun. Permission to fail, I think, is a good way to frame that.
Yeah.
And that's another, that's in the same regard. I brought up perception, and how the athletes perceiving how they're going to be looked at, and whether it's by coaches, by themselves, by their peers, by their parents. It's not if we're doing it or not doing it. It's what the athlete is perceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Do they feel that you're doing it? Do they feel that you're judging them if they make an error? Do they feel that you're going to turn and snicker to your coach if they mess up? That's not the case. So you need to understand that perception is reality. So these children, whether these athletes, whether they're feeling it or not, or whether you're doing it or not, are feeling it. And so bring that up, ask that question, and help them understand what the perception should be.
To illustrate both of your points, I'll use my team last year as an example. We had an extremely talented team. I mean, just too talented to do as well as we did. We underperformed in my eyes. And part of that was because I knew how much talent I had on my hands, so I was always pushing the kids to show the talent, unleash the talent, play up to your abilities. And I think they always felt that pressure all year. And I didn't see it. I didn't know. Sometimes you're just in the heat of the moment and you don't see these things. And it wasn't until the end of the year, the very last game we played of the year, it was a scrimmage game. And they all knew it was a scrimmage game. And I came into the game before the game even started. I said, hey, our only goal here today is to have fun. I'm going to play you guys in weird positions that you don't normally play. I'm going to pitch you, give you innings you might not have normally gotten throughout the year. And you just saw it in their faces. They were jubilant to be there. They were excited, and they played freely without fear of failure. And that was by far, they finally showed me their talent. By far the best game I saw them play all year. I mean, that team had not one chance. There was nothing they could have done to beat us that game. Nothing.
And I want to make sure that we pinpoint this. It's not that the kids played out of position. It's not that they played different positions. It's not any of those things. It's that they didn't have the pressure on them, no matter what position they were playing. So I want to make that clear to some parents as well. Is parents, if you see your child in a different position, or you see these kids playing different positions that they don't normally play, it has nothing to do with anything other than moving them around.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's giving them in all honesty, it's giving them a different view of the game.
Yep. Yep. I mean,
we did that one time this year. Actually, so here's what we did. at the beginning of the year, we took all the players and we said, what positions do you want to play? And I said, okay, I'll do my best to get you in those positions. And then on the flip side, obviously I already had an idea of what positions they would be playing. But when I played kids in different positions during a league game, I had 4 parents come up to me like, "Oh, wow, they really played really well being in those different positions because it was something that they weren't used to. They're just out there having fun." I said, "No, it's because it was a league game and there's no pressure on them."
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what position it is. If there's no pressure, it doesn't matter if you make field the ground ball or not. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So
next one
And then you do bring up a challenge there. It's like, even if I did try to relieve the pressure on them as a coach, they still know it's a tournament game. It's Sunday. It's win or go home. They still know. Even you can try and preach it to them all you want. They still know. They're still smart kids that they're competitive and they know exactly what they need to do. But anything you can do as a coach to start relieving that and make it more of a fun atmosphere.
What Coach Logan's trying to say without saying it is it's okay for you to give yourself permission to fail too.
Yeah, and that's something that bingo. I never was willing to give myself that permission last year. It's difficult. Parents, you guys don't understand that. As coaches, as a good coach, a coach that cares, you want not only your kids to be happy and successful, you want your parents to be glad that they signed you up for that team. And that's a burden on a coach. And for me, I take it very seriously. I don't want to disappoint because I want to keep this team together. And so it's very hard for me to accept that, hey, it's okay to go out here and lose a game every now and then. Sometimes it's not just I want to go out and win. I'm a winning coach. It's not just about that. It's also about I want to keep everybody happy. I want to keep the troops ready to rally. And
if you're going out there and you're losing 21-3 every game, that's not fun. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
That's not what we signed up for. If
Right.
you're going out there and you win a game 9-7, and then you turn around and you lose one 12-3. That's a situation where you can gather all the boys up and say, well, was that fun? Did you like that? Okay, so now it's time to put our nose to the grindstone and work so that doesn't happen again. Sometimes losing is good. Sometimes losing leads to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Or leads to learning. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Okay?
I like that. I like that because you know what? If you get it in their head that losing equals learning versus it's not a losing. You didn't lose. Yeah, you lost the game, but you didn't lose at life. You actually won at life because you learned something. If you learn something from a loss, it's not a loss. It's a success. It's all it's all on how you perceive it. Like you said, perception is reality, and if you perceive it as, hey, at least I learned something, then move on and use what you learned. And I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head there that you can really help the kids perceive it in a different way. You're going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're kind of up against it, and not like we have a hard clock here or anything like that. I'd say clock with an L. So it's not like we have a rigid time.
But we all know you're tired of listening to his voice. So.
Yeah, annoying, like nails on a chalkboard. I know. Coach Lance over there screaming at you. Again, it's the 22nd, the day where we're recording this. Hopefully we're going to get this out by the 30th. I'm not sure we're going to make it, but we're going to try, because this thing that I'm going to talk about now ends on the 30th. If there's one thing that we can band together over, I know that we all have different philosophies on this and that. We all have different philosophies on bunting or pitch mechanics, pitch selection, double cut, single cut. We all have different thoughts. Okay, it's a very nebulous game. Okay, we have the freedom to do that. There's one thing that we all can band together and fight together is the kids. We all coach. This is about youth baseball. This podcast is about youth baseball and helping the kids be what they can be. And when kids don't get a chance to be what they can be because they've had this horrible disease,
Nice restraint. Really
it's
nice.
very, very difficult. Okay, so one thing that we are all in agreement on is we need to do everything we can to help out childhood cancer. And right now there's a Rally Ribbon initiative hosted by baseballism.com. If you guys get a chance, go to the website, spelled exactly the way you think it's spelled, baseball with an IASM at the end of it. Baseballism.com, the Rally Ribbon initiative. Up until September 30th, 20% of all cap purchases, so purchases on hats and caps and stuff like that, made from now until end of September will be donated to the Dornbecher Children's Hospital Foundation. Each hat will come with a pin. 20% of all pin purchases and Rally Ribbon apparel will be donated to the Children's Hospital Foundation as well. That the Dornbecher Children's Hospital Foundation is out of Oregon. I know Baseballism is building more brick and mortar stores all the time. I know they're putting one in Wrigleyville right now, I believe. But
they have some great stuff too, guys.
Yeah, even their non-Rally Ribbon initiative stuff is really good. And anything that we can do, whether it's donating to Children's Oncology Services, whether it's donating to St. Jude's,
anything to help the children,
whatever we can do. I mean, this is what we're here for, is to help kids, right? So let's help kids that don't get a chance to have us coach them, you know? And some of this stuff looks pretty sweet, too. Some of the Rally Ribbon stuff looks really cool.
I'll tell you what, I want that black hat sold out. I went to go buy it the other day, sold out. I was angry.
Yeah.
Angry.
Yeah.
So.
I'm too fat. I can't, they don't have my size in the shirts anymore. I was going to buy 2 of them. So we all develop a uniform in life. I pretty much wear the same 3 shirts all day, and 2 of them look exactly the same. So, so anyway, it's not to end this on a down note.
It's not a down note. I don't like that. It's not a down note. It's to end it on a educational note,
right.
a giving note, something that we feel strongly about, and we feel that we can
try to make a positive out of a negative.
Try to make anything positive, because something that, we've said this before, it's hard to understand why.
Yep.
And I think that's where we'll leave it at, is it's hard to understand why these children are having to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
And that
doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's senseless, and I don't know how we haven't found a cure yet, but we need to get on that. And I understand that it's not easy.
Yeah.
But go help the kids. Do what we can.
Absolutely.
So on that note, I got nothing else to say. I know you guys are happy about that.
Yeah, I am. Oh, wait. I still got to listen to you.
Stop yelling. All right.
Everyone, thanks for listening.
Good, yeah.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Jobu.
Adios.